Hello guys, so welcome back to the SQL section of data engineering with animation. I'm back with another interview level SQL question on the LeetCode. So let's get started. So the question is exchange seats. There's only one table in this question, which is seat, and it has two columns, ID and student. Where ID is the primary key column for this table. Each row of this table indicates the name and the ID of the student. ID is a continuous increment. Write a solution to swap the seat ID of every two consecutive student. If the number of students is odd, the ID of the last student is not swapped. Return the result table ordered by ID in ascending order. Okay, so what you have to do is basically, if you see the example, you have to interchange the IDs. So one abort and two Doris, the IDs are interchanged. Now Doris becomes one and abort becomes two. Now for 3, 4, again the ID is changed. For immersion it becomes 4, and for green it becomes 3. And last one, if the ID is odd, it remains same. So if there are condition that if the last ID is odd, the ID remains untouched, remains same. Okay, means 5 will remain 5. So three things you have to keep in mind. First, if the ID is odd, then you have to do ID plus 1, right? Like 1 becomes 2, 3 becomes 4. If ID is even, like 2 becomes 1, 4 becomes 3, then ID minus 1. And if ID is equals to odd and ID is the last ID of the table, then return the ID. Okay. So basically, we are going for case statement. So let's get started how to do it. Select, comma, select case, then when ID modulo 2 is equals to 1. Firstly, I am getting the case if the last ID is odd. If ID modulo 2 is equals to 1 means ID is odd, and ID is equals to select count star from seat. Means if we do a count star by seat, we'll get the number of entries, right? 5. So if the ID is equals to the count, means ID is the last ID, then ID. Okay, this is the first condition. The other condition is, now I will do for even. Okay, when ID modulo 2 is equals to 0, then ID minus 1. Okay, now third condition is for normal odd. ID modulo 2 is equals to 1, but you also have to write that it should not be the last ID, otherwise it will interchange the last one twice. So just not equal to and write this again. Okay, so I hope you understood that you have to separate the last odd one out. That is the prominent condition given, that if the last ID is odd, you don't have to change it. So if I have written only this much, then it would definitely have taken this also into account. So just to take care of that, I have written not equal to here. And for odd, you have to do that ID plus 1 end, and case ends with an end keyword, and you can write the name of the column, and as ID comma student from seat order by ID ascending. Okay, now I will run this and see your answer has been accepted. Okay, so there were three conditions: that if the ID is even, you have to subtract 1 from that ID. If ID is odd and it is not the last ID of the table, then you have to add 1 to it. And if ID is odd and it is the last ID, then you have to keep it same. So all three conditions have been catered with different when statement in the case. If you go all three, you will see how the condition are working. So I hope you had understood this question. We have done already many questions on case, so you can go to my previous video and check how the case works. And I will see you in my next video. I'm planning to give a short description video on how case works. So maybe my next video would be on that. So if you want to learn more about case, just tune into my next video. Till then, goodbye.